Today I'm going to show you step by step in detail how you can recreate your own DC Firestorm effect right inside Adobe After Effects. It's going to be a lot of fun, so let's go. What's going on, boys and girls? My name is VK and welcome to a brand new exciting Phenomenal Creations visual effect tutorial, the channel that helps you make your visual effects phenomenal inside Adobe After Effects and Fusion 9. Today is no different. Today we're going to be doing the DC Firestorm effect, and man, it has been requested. Thank you, Jordy Dragon, for requesting this tutorial. And definitely, if you want to make your suggestions become real-life episodes just like this one, don't forget to use the hashtag PCVFX over Twitter to suggest me a tutorial, or use the suggest form down below. Alright, so today we are doing the DC Firestorm effect. It's really cool, it looks really good, and man, I had a lot of fun making this one. But before we start the tutorial itself, let's do a really quick VFX breakdown on what we'll be doing, since this is containing 7 different kind of steps on creating this awesome effect. So the first thing we have is having our base footage, and we're going to be doing some motion tracking in Mocha AE. After that, we're going to put some fire elements and shade that to our hands, make some body glow so we have that color and vibe happening on our body to sell that effect. Then we got to make our eyes completely white, because that's just how the effect works. Then put some embers to sell the effect, some lens there to sell it even further, and doing the last piece, the heat distortion, to give that kick of realism into that. So there's a lot to cover. I'm trying to make this as efficient and as effective as possible. So let's just begin. Alright, I have taken the liberty to create a new composition called FIRE.STORM tutorial here, and I have my base footage, which you will have the availability to download in the description down below if you want to train with my footage. And you know the drill, this happens in every video. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is to motion track our footage with Mocha. And Mocha AE got a really nice update in the new Adobe CC 2019 edition. It's refined, it's a little more cleaner, and you have a really efficient way to track multiple objects into a single saved file you can then use in your project. I'm going to show everything, it's really cool. Let's go ahead and open up Mocha, because you can just find it in the Effects and Presets panel, just like an effect. Let's click Start. Some navigation tools, you can hold down the Z key to use the zoom, and hold down X for a hand maneuver tool, and then Control F if you want to go back to the pointer tool. So the thing we're going to be tracking is our both hands, both eyes, and my head. It's really simple how we're going to do this. I'm going to select this B-spline pen tool with an X here at the upper left hand corner, and then I'm just going to drag a really rough outline around my hand, like this. And then I'm going to select transformation, because I'm just going to go X and Y. I don't need the rotations and scales, because I'm not moving towards the camera or anything like this. And you can see it pops up as layer number 1 here. And I'm going to rename this to right arm. It's really important that you do this, because this will help you and show the power of the new Mocha if you do this correctly. So name all your layers, because you're going to be amazed. Then we have our trackers in the beginning. Let's just track forward. And then Mocha is doing a great job of finding and tracking your subjects. In this particular scene, there's not a lot of movement, so it doesn't take so much time, and it's pretty easy to track. But Mocha is super powerful to track like pretty much anything. Also in 3D, that's cool. Let's take a pencil, and then we start do all the tracks. But I'm not going to show you all the tracks, because that's just a complete waste of time. You can do this by yourself also. But a small tip when you do the eye track, don't just track this small area in the eyes, because I have a couple times happen is the Mocha has a tendency to stop the tracking in midway and saying that it's not sufficient. So make a large enough area, just like around your eyebrows and maybe an inch under your eyes, so you have a good amount of area to track. Then now I'm at the last keyframe, so now I'm just gonna rename this to my right eye, and again have just the transformation, and now we're gonna track backwards. and it's gonna track my eye pretty freaking well. So now we just continue to do this to my left eye, to my head or hair portion, and also my left arm. And once that is done, I will be back with you guys. Alright, so once we have motion tracked everything, you can see when you play it back, it will just loop back and forth. You can see how well those tracks are parenting to our hands, our eyes, and our head. And then of course, when you done this right, you can see the head, left arm, left eye, right arm, or however you have selected these to be named like this. Then what we'll do is we can hit this save button in the upper left corner, hit X on our keyboard, on the Mocha panel. Let's remember to save our project so you don't crash, because I already crashed once trying to record this tutorial, so I won't do the same mistake twice or 3 times. Alright, so we have our base footage. Now let's go ahead and try it out that the track actually worked and see how you can parent the tracking data into any element you put into After Effects. Really cool. Alright, so let's go ahead and create a new shape layer. Let's make it white and just put it on top of our left hand just to represent the place where the fire element will be going later on. Let's take the opacity to something like 30% so we can just barely see it. Let's select the footage base. Let's click on or the drop down the tracking data, create tracking data, and here is the magic, because now you can see all your layers inside Mocha and how you have named them. So now it's really easy for you to parent the tracking data to a subject. So I have here my left arm, so I'll take my left arm, select it, click OK. Now you can see the parameters. Let's go to transform and layer export to the shape layer, which we created, and click apply export. At some cases it may disappear, but it's not disappeared. If you zoom out, you can see it's just misplaced because the anchor point is not matching. And if you click P on your keyboard to change the position, you pretty much shouldn't do that because it's animated the position. That's what the tracking does. So a little trick, click on anchor point and then move the anchor point so it matches the place you want, because then you don't screw with your tracking information. So now when you hit play, you can see how well this is tracked. My goodness, this is good. So now you have basically done 5 different tracking data for 5 different places, and you can try them out if you want to, but I'm pretty confident that based on this test, all the trackings succeeded. So now I delete that, and let's go ahead and move to this to the first part of this, and let's put some fire in this bad boy. Alright, so the fire elements I'm going to be using are fire elements from Action VFX, because my goodness, they are the best in the industry. You know, I praise them all the time because I love those guys. And I'm gonna use a big fire element called the Big Fire 108 here. And not only do I love Action VFX loves this channel because we're buddies. So you will be able to have exactly this element in 720p with Alpha Channel in the description down below, because they love people to learn use their products. And I have really cool stuff, a thing I want to tell you about Action VFX for the coming weeks. Definitely in just a couple of minutes I will tell you more about this, but let's move on to work with the fire. Alright, so the first thing we can do when we apply this, it has this ignition intro and all this, but what we're going to do is go ahead and select that big fire, pre-compose it with the Control-Shift-C. You know how to pre-compose, and call this right fire, because right arm, I'm going to just put it on my right arm as an example. Click OK. Let's jump into the composition. We can see it here. It's like 22 seconds long. Let's find the place where it begins. And because this is just a really big fire, I'm not going to use all of the fire because it's not also so naturally formed to a hand. So we need to be a little bit tricky here. So when I scrub through, you can see this left part of this just kind of becomes really good if I just mask out a little portion out of it. So select it, take the pen tool, and make a mask. And let's begin the comp somewhere around here, and let's see how this looks like. We just need a couple seconds for this example, and I know it looks jaggy because we have like straight edges and doesn't look so pretty, but we can fix this, or at least we can enhance it. We can make it look good right here, but I will show you how to make it look good later on. So let's just give a touch feathering so it's not so harsh. So it looks something like this. Good. Awesome. Let's go and right click and go to time and time stretch, because these bad boys are filmed in 96 frames per second. So we can slow them down almost 3 times actual speed. So let's go to 170 just so we can get almost half the speed. It just makes it a bit more silkier and smoother and all that kind of good stuff. So now we can see our fire element doing its thing. I may be liking it when it becomes this a little bigger, the fire. Let's start the composition here. Okay, let's go back to the FIRESTORM tutorial comp, or our main composition, and now you won't see the fire because we have worked on it, so we have to scrub through just a touch so we can see here is the fire element. Alright, so what we can do here is go ahead and take the anchor point, put that to the bottom of our layer here. Let's click S on our keyboard, and now we can just add the scale if we want to scale it up and stuff. So now we have it here, but now we just have to parent it to our hand. And how we do this is exactly how we did it test. Let's create some tracking data. Let's take the right arm in this case. Click OK. Let's go to the right fire, or sorry, transform, none, right fire, apply export. Boom. Now let's go to right fire anchor point. Let's drop it down like this. Let's hit scale. Let's take away the scale animation because we don't need that kind of animation, and hit play. And boom, we have fire on our hand, but we have a problem, a significant problem. You can also see it doesn't look so natural. We have a bunch of existing flames on the left side and the right side that are appearing from nowhere because the source is our hand for our fire. And we could do some feathering, but that feather would not look good. It looked really unrealistic because fire doesn't have this kind of feathering. In the end, we could use the puppet tool. We can select our fire element, take the puppet tool, and authenticate this and start doing some puppet stuff and trying to do this to bend it. But then we have this really bad edges and it doesn't look it's just nasty. So yes, we're gonna use the puppet tool, but I have a really cool trick how to avoid that artifacting. Is that we're gonna go and jump into the right fire effect here, and we are going to drop in a solid composite effect. It's basically just like adding a solid behind the element without adding an actual solid to that composition. It's just a little workaround. So now we should have here a black background, basically like having a solid. Let's go ahead and now drop this down to 20% something so we just can barely see the fire. And now let's take that puppet tool, because now we will authenticate the whole composition and then just outline the fire as we see fit. And now let's start. You can see how it bends also the solid underneath, but now we can go ahead and put this fire according to our hand, so it's a lot more natural. So it looks like the source of the fire is our hand. And normally when you use something like the puppet tool, you can clearly see the bending and stuff. But fire is so organic and so random. And when we put up the glows and the coloring and the heat distortion and everything, they will all be covered up by this goodness. So let's go ahead and make this. Let's go ahead and take T on our keyboard, take back the opacity. Let's go to screen mode. So now we have pretty much killed two birds with one stone, because we were putting fire on a screen mode because it looks more realistic later on, but now we did it and we got rid of all that artifacting. So now when we look at this, it looks good. And if you want to change the puppeting effect, it's really easy, because now you can just go to the puppet tool, you can see the puppet effects, but then just hit U on your keyboard and just take away the animation of all the puppet pins, because it will just if you don't do that, it will just animate the changes you do. But now you can go and change the individual puppet effects if you just want to. If you want to restrict it and stuff, you know, up to you. But now it looks pretty good. So we have one fire element down the road done. Now I will do the exact same thing to my hands and my head, and then I will be back with you guys. So, alright, so now our hands and head is on fire. So the next thing to do is adding some body glow and body glare, and this is really easy. And how we're gonna do this is let's just shut off our fire elements here and just work with the thing we need. So I'm going to show you the basics of doing one arm, and then you can just apply the same basics to all the other limbs. So this is just a real time consuming effect, so I will just saving some time by doing that. So let's go ahead and duplicate our base footage. Let's call this right arm glow, or actually we can do body glow because we can do everything in one layer. Cool. Now let's go ahead to the U and just take off the Mocha AE tracking data from this clip. We don't need that. And what we're gonna do now is go ahead and find the curves adjustment layer. It's dropping curves. Let's go ahead and add some brightness. Let's go to the red channel and add some redness, and let's go to the green channel and add some green to this, and maybe drop the blue just a touch to get, and bump up the red just to get some orange flamey look. Let's go find the tritone effect next. This is also a really good one. It's gonna be overlapping curves so we can see it just now, but we're gonna fix that. Let's go to the midtones and find this flaming orange redness goodness, and let's go to the shadows. Let's go to the like this really dark red kind of look here, and let's go and blend with original so we get a good mix out of both. Something like 50% is pretty good, just so we get this fire look. Awesome. And then we'll just go ahead and take that body glow and make that an additive effect, so it looks pretty much like this. Now we can play with the curves adjustment here, so we can get some, maybe just drop the brightness because it looks pretty freaking intense. Cool. Now the thing to do is go ahead and create a mask. Let's go to the first frame here. Let's take the masking tool and let's just make a really simple but effective mask around my arm here. It's gonna be pretty rough because at least my background is so dark, so when we feather this out, it doesn't matter that it leaks as such, because when we feather, it just adds a bit of the glow, and it will be hidden by the glow of the fire then. And then, so it looks pretty cool that you have this glow that will add when you put that right fire on. It will add on when we start adding some glow effects. So how this works, pretty much we just do that. Let's go to the mask, hit the mask path option, so we animate this. Let's hit the V and select all the keyframes, and you can go and start going and start just handly animate this pretty roughly around the edges like this. Okay, just moves just a touch up and down, and this is super basic stuff. And yeah, this. Alright, so that was the end of the comp. Alright, so now you just do basically the exact same thing for the left arm and the head. Just it can be super rough because it will be covered up when we put some more effects and elements on. So alright, so now when we have made our super rough but still workable body glow, it doesn't look so super good now, but when we start working with the fires, we're gonna do now is to make that fire look so sexy, and I'm gonna show you how to do it. So let's go with the right fire first. Then after that, let's just apply this to all of the fires. So let's shut off left and head fire. Let's deselect the glow. Okay, let's go ahead and begin this thing. Let's go ahead first to find a solid composite effect just to add, because it's just a transparent thing. So let's make it black. So we have some. Let's make it also normal, so we can just see the fire itself. So right, solid composite, make it black. Then let's go ahead and find the exposure effect, just because to add some brightness here and just bring it up just so we can get some highlights out of this thing. Something like this. Looks pretty good. 1.5, 1.4, depends on how you like it. You can change it at any time. Let's go ahead and find our first glow effect. This is the most powerful tool. It's gonna look super weird at the first time, but hey, it's cool. Let's go ahead and put the threshold to something like 25 and take the glow radius to something like 250. And let's make the glow operation screen. And let's use A and B colors. Let's use these colors to give our own glow color. So let's take this fiery orange red at the B point, A point, and a little bit darker on the back. Let's go make this just a touch more yellow. Something like this. Let's make also the color looping to sawtooth A and B. Something like this. And then let's go ahead and duplicate this glow effect and make the radius to something like 800, something like that. And then we can just duplicate it one more time right there, just so we can kick a little bit of those highlights. And then it's a good thing to take the solid composite, duplicate that effect, and put that between the second and the third glow, and just so that we don't mess with the borders or anything. Now when we have that, we can put this back to screen mode, and man, does this look sexy. So what I like to do, because my I have a little bit lower contrast of a shot here, or the base footage, so I like to do is to take the tint effect and put that on here to make it black and white, and just give it like 25% of tint, just so we just desaturate just a touch, so when we color grade they won't be matching in a bad way. Alright, so once we have that, we can go ahead and take all our effects here, shift, and let's take all our effects, Control C to copy it. Just take our left fire, paste them there, boom. Let's take our head fire, boom. Oh, Control V, boom. Now everything is glowing, cool. Let's put our body glow on. My goodness. And now we can go to the body glow and just try to match them. So add a little bit more green to this, maybe just touch down the. And we could actually go at least to the head fire. The exposure is just a touch pretty harsh, so let's drop down. Let's go to the left fire also and drop down the exposure just a touch. So here we have pretty much, we have some fire elements going on, we have some body glows going on, but there's still a couple steps more to go to create this effect as a whole. But before we go that, I want to give you guys just a minute of your time to tell me about something really cool that's happening over at Action VFX. Super critical while this is rendering. So the thing is that take your calendars out, because 22nd to 30th of November they have Black Friday sales, and they will drop all their products down 50%. Okay, this is cool because they did it last year too. But 1 year ago, let's say, make some math. 1 year ago, a $100 pack was in this year of May, they dropped all their prices down 50% permanently. So that $100 pack became a $50 pack. And now this Black Friday, they have a 50% sale. The first day, 55% sale. So that $50 pack becomes $25. And that $25 is gonna be even more cheaper for you, because if you use the code VKPhenomenal, you can get an additional 10% off of your order just by clicking the link down below. You can get yourself hooked on some crazy amounts of savings during Black Friday. So definitely go check those out. I have a link down below, so if you want to go check out their website and all they have there, it's just, they have too many packs to count. And also they have a bunch of free elements, so when you go there, you can at least get something if you don't want to pay directly. But I'm telling you, Black Friday sales, 1 week long, 22nd to 30th. Don't miss those. They are pretty amazing, and you will find so much good stuff for so cheap. Go there. Alright, so once we have it, now we have our fires, we have our body glows. It looks awesome, I dig it. So the next thing to do is to work with the eyes. So what we're gonna do here, I'm gonna go back to the project, and let's go ahead and make those eyes really cool. So let's select everything off but the body glow. And what I'm gonna do is go ahead and make a new solid, Control Y, and call this eye. And then I'm gonna take a picker tool and take something like the brightest part of the eye here, and then just make them a little bit brighter. Click OK. Then shut the layer off. go to the pen tool and make a really simple mask around the eyelid, under the eyes right here. Let's go select that on again. Let's hit F and just give a couple pixels of feathering like this, and then we can, let's not create a shape layer, and then we can just add and manipulate this as we want. And then what we can do is go ahead and go to the footage base, as we did create tracking data, go to right eye, okay, and go to, not head fire, let's go to eye comp, transform, and apply, boom. And then we have it disappeared over there. So now let's go to the anchor point of that tool, and let's go and put that on the eye here. Again, hold down Control if you want to make it really fine-tuned. And then you can go ahead and do this. So technically now when we hit play, it should be pretty well tracked to our eyes here. I really dig this. So when we look away, you can see our first eye is pretty well tracked to my face. Then we just duplicate that and put that on the second eye too. Alright, so once you have made your eyes completely white and tracked your things, what you can do is go ahead and select both of your eye layers, put them beneath the body glow, and turn everything on, and preview your file. And it's starting to look pretty good and pretty convincing, but we still have a couple of things to do. We have the embers and the lens dirt and the heat distortion, so let's go ahead and move into those. Alright, we have done a lot of things. I know it's been taking a couple minutes to do all this, but I hope I have you with me, because now we're working with the embers, the fire particles that's going to sell this fire effect really, really well. I have a couple rising wide ember elements from Action VFX. I'm going to give you one of these in the FIRE.STORM pack I have, the training pack I have down in the description. But I'm gonna begin with the wide number 8. I'm just gonna drag and drop here on top, and this is some really high quality elements. I really dig how these look. They add some great value to our effects here. They are just amazing. So what we're gonna do is go ahead and copy one of our fire effects here. Or actually, we could build this from scratch, because there's some difference in the transparencies and everything. So let's go ahead and make a solid composite right here. So we have a black solid composite. Let's go and make that black. Let's go find the exposure tab. Exposure tab. Let's put it on, and let's go and zoom in so we can see what we're working with here. Let's go ahead and give it some brightness. Then let's go ahead and find our glow, and here's why we can pretty much just copy, because the glows are so different, because we can do so we have to be, because the particles are so small, you can see like the glow just disappears. So you just have to have just a really little amount of glow. And then let's go ahead and do the same thing. Let's make this screen. Let's take the A and B colors, orange, and this reddish color like this. Then let's go ahead and duplicate that glow. Now we get some more glow. Looks better. Let's go ahead and once again give it like double or triple the radius, and one more time. And now this time let's take the glow radius to almost just a couple pixels, and then just work with the threshold so we can just hit those highlights like this. Fit the screen. Now they glow really nicely, and like with the fires, we can go ahead and put a tint effect on there. So, and let's put a 25% tint there. And now let's go ahead and put that screen, and boom, we got some really nice things here. Okay, let's go ahead and take that anchor point to the base. Let's move this to this hand to begin with. Oh man, I can already see how well this is going to be looking. Nice. Now let's go to the footage base, do the thing we have always done. Left arm, we gotta parent that tracking data. Or actually, maybe we don't have to do this. Let's go ahead and just parent this to the left fire. And it works with the track. Of course it works. That's how it works. Nice. Really nice. Really nice. Let's go ahead and scale this down. Just a touch. So we can now see we have some embers and some particles flying out of the fire. It just really adds on. It just gives that little kick of realism in this whole effect. We can go ahead and move this a little further in time. So we can see the particles flying already in the beginning. Nice. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and do the exact same thing. We can go, really we can just go and duplicate this and put this to the right fire. And get it over here. We can move it along in time so it looks a little bit different. Let's go ahead and scale it up just a touch. And now we have fire blisters and things happening in the right arm. And then we can go ahead and duplicate it one more time and go ahead and put that to the head fire. Move it on the head. And these we can actually, for example, go in and time stretch. Let's make them 150 because they are filmed in high frame rates. You can put those just a little slower. Let's go to the right ones then. Let's drop the opacity down to 80%. To make them not too bright. And here we got. We're having some fire embers. Looks pretty freaking nice. I dig it. So the next thing to do is to add some lens dirt just to make it just a touch more cooler in our face. Alright, so I'm going to use a lens dirt image here from Action VFX, and these are actually a free element you can go download at any point of time. They are really high quality and really good lens dirt effects here. I really dig this because they have a lot of stuff going on. So what I like to do is get that lens dirt, find the tint effect, and then I will add the whiteness to make them match more of our fire orange here. Maybe go to the shadows and add just a touch of a orange shadow there. And then what's gonna do is let's go ahead and just put them on screen so we can see them on top of our frame here. We can scale them as we want. Okay, maybe the blacks are just a touch too unopaque. We don't want that to be just too. Let's make this something like this. Not too harsh, but really well. So we can see what it just adds a little bit of that lens dirt, of that exposure of the fire. But right now it's just a PNG. It doesn't look so in the scene. We gotta make it flicker like the fire do. So what I like to do is to go ahead and find the exposure effect. Take the exposure effect here, and when you see we want to likely to flicker just a touch like with the. So we can add an expression. So what I like to do is go ahead and alt click the exposure tab, type in wiggle, make a real simple wiggle expression here. So I want to 7 times a second. I want it to change by the value of 4, and the parentheses. Let's dig in and check it. So now it's pretty quickly wiggles. Okay, maybe not with this value of 4, value of 1. So it's not too harsh, just like a tiny touch like this. Let it render. So we have this little flickering action going on. Cool. Then we can go ahead and drop maybe opacity down to something like 75% so it's not too crazy. Oh, so the last step we're gonna do is adding some heat distortion. That heat distortion will tie everything together. It looks super nice. And the heat distortion is completely optional because I'm using a paid asset from videocopilot.net. They have nothing to do with this episode, but their heat distortion effect is really top notch. It's just $25 or something. So if you do a lot of fire effects, it's definitely something you need. Go check it out there. I have a link in the description if you want to take a look. But Video Copilot has nothing to do with this episode. I just love them. the stuff that they do. But I have a tutorial on my channel where I create my own fire or heat distortions. You can go check it out. We'll leave it up in the cards somewhere around there, so you can see how you can create your own. But I'm going to show you how to make it really simply and quickly some awesome heat distortion. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and create a new adjustment layer. Call this HD for heat distortion. Go to effects and presets, find in heat distortion, video copilot. Boom, it will add some really cool heat bias and heat distortion action. I'll take the ellipse tool and make an ellipse around my hand here and make a feather of about 100 pixels like this. Then we'll duplicate that heat distortion and not like that. Let's go ahead and move that to my head and select so it just affects my head portion. Like this. And then let's take the first one and duplicate it one more time and put that on my left hand. Just so we can get some cool action going on. So now we just render out this, and then, or actually we could go and make an adjustment layer and put a tint effect. Makes everything black and white, and let's just make a 25% tint effect. So it's not so crazy, that coloring. So it's easier to color grade in your final production. So that is pretty much the effect. Now I can let this render. You can see it on the screen, the final product. But that's pretty much it. Hope you guys did enjoy this tutorial. If you guys did enjoy this tutorial, please don't forget to like and comment and subscribe to this channel if you like the content and you haven't already subscribed. It's really cool. A lot of this stuff is happening weekly, so definitely check it out if you're interested in Fusion Night tutorials. I have a really cool series regarding that too. Check out the links in the description, check out the Action VFX page, check out the sales which are coming really soon. Definitely don't miss out on those. And request a tutorial on Twitter, #PCVFX. My name is VK. I'll see you guys in the next video. So until then, peace out.